Wow. Summer is already over. I cannot believe it. It feels like only yesterday we were still in step 2. But in fact we're just completed step 3. And we're moving forward beyond that. So much has happened. It's been really eventful, actually. Well, we gained a boyfriend, a suitor for the summer, had Miranda's birthday, made out with said boyfriend. The monochrome man's nickname is the Victorian era emo man, or emo boy, whichever it was. We found out about Dad and Mom 3's divorce. Turns out it wasn't actually Cove's fault, but rather Dad's fault. Dad being Cliff. I don't want to call him Mr. Holden, but quite frankly, that hasn't been too fortunate for me. Oh well. I guess Dad will always be Mr. Holden to us for a while. I'm excited to move on, actually. It's weird, but it's finally time that we do move on. We've got our memories and we can look back at them at any given point in time. So, why not make the most of that? And, well, see what new memories we have in store for us. Moths bounced against your window, attracted by the light of your room, a siren call in the slowly darkening sky, just as the day was coming to an end. So too with summer. Liz would be moving back into the dorms before long. Luckily, Lee had been able to come and stay for a short trip before her own new journey began. She had officially accepted her first choice college a few weeks ago. This was her last chance to see you all in person for. You flexed through your plans for the next few months, realizing that you didn't even know when you'd next had the opportunity for everyone to be in the same place again. It was hard to think about what. It was going to be hard to think that you'd likely see even less of your cousin going forward, but you were delighted that she was pursuing her dreams. While you were all still together, your family was going to have dinner together. As ever, the Holdens were tagging along too. Your destination was that. No, actually. I've always pegged the tropical place, right? But I recall at one point that the Chinese restaurant might have been a place for, the family to get together. And I've never chosen that one for the transitional period. Yeah, let's do that. You go into the Chinese restaurant. It was where your family had always enjoyed going, ever since you and Liz were tiny. That long-standing connection made a fitting location for a final meal before Liz and Lee set off again. Technically, you were getting ready to go out, though your mind was half on the task. It was a pleasantly warm evening, the kind that epitomized the vacation feeling, and you were in no mood to spoil it by rushing around. While idly gazing at your room, you spotted a small cluster of unopened envelopes. That must have been left for your parent. That must have been left for you by a parent earlier. You headed over to the table to flick through anything of interest. Oh. As a child, any correspondence felt exciting due to its rarity. You recognized now that it was most mundane, but you were checking any mail you got more regularly of late. There was something you were expecting. You stopped at a crisp white envelope. The logo proudly proclaimed the sender, a school that you applied to. You took a deep breath and read it. This next step would take nerve. You closed your eyes as you breathed deep. The air slipping through your lips as you opened your eyes once more. You pulled the blue flap on the front of the envelope and extracted the letter. Your eyes dart over the message, brushing past the pleasantries to get to the heart of the matter. The blood pounding in your ears deafened you to the world outside. You were contained within these letters. Your heart skidded as to a halt as you reached your verdict. You'd been accepted. You were relieved. The tension flooded out of your body with such intensity that you needed to slump against the wall for support. You wanted to keep this news to yourself for now. You tried your best to finish getting yourself ready for the dinner ahead. It was a strain. Your mind had only half been on the task before. Now with the news fresh in your mind, it was a struggle to concentrate on anything else. You kept having to recall your thoughts away from the future and back to the present. Time was against you. Mom soon called from downstairs that it was time to go. You had to check the time to make sure you had 10 or at least 5 minutes left. You were wrong. You tore down the stairs attempting to juggle your composure among the hurry and excitement. Your moms, who turned to greet you as you arrived, swapped silent, knowing looks. They couldn't have possibly figured out what happened, or so you hoped. As your moms, they were pretty good at telling things without being told. You watched them, hunting for any further signs. They were on the case, but none came. But now it didn't seem like they knew what was happening. Not exactly, at least. But things were definitely happening. And even if they didn't know for sure what you were cooking up, they could at least smell something in the air. Everyone piled. This is new. I don't recognize this vehicle. Have I been on this vehicle before? Mom, did you get a new car? I think Mom got a new car. Everyone piled into the car while it marked for being suitable to hold 5 people. In practice, it made for a very tight fit. Your mom standing in front were fine. You, Liz, and Lee were squished into the back. Lee in the middle, wedged between you and your sister. But Mom was an excellent timekeeper. Thanks to her efforts, you were pulled up near the restaurant on time. The process of getting out of the car was slightly easier than squeezing into it, with much less coordination required to release seatbelts than secure them. You gave Lee a hand as she clambered out from the middle seat, then headed into the building as a group. A waiter greeted you as you entered. Matt let him know how many of there would be in total, and he went to arrange a table that met your needs. He returned promptly and guided you to your seats. You perched comfortably in your chair, your head held aloft as if buoyed by today's good fortune. Your family settled down around you, all cheerful, and looking forward to the evening meal ahead. Your family settled down around you, all cheerful, and looking forward to the evening ahead. Your drinks order had just been taken when the Holdens came through the door. They were pointed in your direction. Though, with Mom waving in the air, it was hardly necessary. Cove and Mr. Holden came to join you at the table. As greetings were being exchanged, Cove took a seat opposite to you. It would have been left empty by an unspoken acknowledgement that you and Cove would be wanting to sit together. Mr. Holden sat beside him.
Hi!
It's great to see you! Glad you could make it. Hello, everyone. You wouldn't believe how hungry I am.
I see.
You came to the right place, then. There was some laughter, though Liz groaned playfully, shaking her head at Mom's sense of humor. Growing up, she had complained, and Mom would have responded by making another comment. Liz had mellowed over the years, but she still made a show of despairing at Mom's jokes. Her reactions to them had become a joke of their own in right. Her reaction to them had become a joke in its own right. Menus were soon passed around, and a temporary hush fell over the table as everyone read. It didn't last long, punctuated by comments about what people had eaten here before, and light chatter about what people were considering tonight. Once the waiter disappeared with your orders, Cliff piped up.
Okay.
So, I've got some good news. Kara's making a trip out here tomorrow. Cliff nodded, turning from his father to the rest of the table. Yeah, we talked about it, and figured that it was a good time for everyone. That's great! Everyone reacted positively to the news, though Ma looked wistful.
It's a shame.
If only we'd known. Here we are, having a big meal without her. If we had waited one day, she could have joined us. Mom patted Ma on the back, gently nudging her from the realm of possibilities and what-ifs, and back to the evening that was going so well. Liz and Lee will be here tomorrow. We'll just have to throw in another get-together and keep the fun train chugging along. Ma smiled warmly, taking Mom's hand in hers. That's true. There's plenty of time to celebrate right now, but there will be more good news and good times on the horizon. Right. And speaking of, that's not all we've got either. Cove's eyes were... My god, I was looking at Cove. Mr. Holden's eyes were alight as he sat up straight in his chair, face angled towards the sun. He barely let a beat go by before nudging Cove with his elbow, pushing him to follow up on the announcement. It was the very picture of a proud papa. He was the very picture of a proud papa. Cove shielded from the limelight, ducking his head down, staring at his lap as he spoke. Well, it's just I've switched over to working full-time instead of only part-time. Plus, I've been looking at apartments. There's a few I can choose from. He flicked up his gaze and looked at everyone around the table, a smile creeping over his face. I'll be pretty busy going forward. Apartments. He was moving. Cove was going to be out of his dad's house after 10 years. Wasn't going to be your neighbor anymore. Mr. Holden gripped on Cove's shoulder and gave it a loving shake. His excitement couldn't be contained. Incredible! Cove's actually going to make it to adulthood. It's a miracle. Mr. Holden leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling in mock wonder.
I'm so glad.
I wasn't convinced I would be able to rear a kid all the way to this point, but thankfully I lucked out and got the best boy a dad could ever ask for. Dad! Cove blinked his vision with his hands on the side of his face, temporarily blocking his father out of sight. Despite his genuine bashfulness, which left him unable to meet anyone's eyes after all the attention rushed his way, he was happy. Thanks. What does that mean, speaking when people speak, all of a sudden? Thanks. I was really lucky too. You're a good dad. Aww. Damn it again. Come here. Mr. Holden threw an arm around Cove's neck, pulling him as close of a hug as the scene would allow. He rubbed his cheek on top of his son's head while Cove chuckled, accepting the affection with good humor. If it was 8-year-old Cove, he would probably be swimming away. He looked around at the faces of the company here. He had been growing on this journey with everyone else here for years, seeing them falter and grow, and they watched you go through the same. It was even his home. Liz was heading back to college while Lee was starting at hers. You were staying close, but it was clear that you were all heading in different directions, to different destinations. Some near, some far. It wouldn't be long till you're all going on your own way. It was bittersweet. You turned your head to the side, wistful, not wanting to spoil the evening with your troubles. You were glad everyone was succeeding, but the idea of splitting gave you a twinge of regret. These people had been key pillars in your life. Days without them, no matter how bright and shiny, felt a little empty, like a theme park after closing time. But you focused your mind on the sweet side. New adventures still lay ahead. You could encourage that optimism. Cove brought some attention to himself while clearing his throat. A small interjection. I'm gonna stretch my legs while we wait for the food and everything.
Sure.
Sure thing, bud. With a tiny smile, he nodded at his dad. The lightness to his expression faded when he moved to face you. Wanna go? He was attempting to be subtle, but there was very obvious something going on in his mind, something he wanted to talk to you about alone. He watched him with concern as he rose from his seat. Yeah, I'll go. Take care. With those final words, the two of you walked out of the place. He was trying to get as far away from everyone as possible, without actually exiting the building. What did you need to say? Cannon admitted that was what was about, but he didn't need to. Cove started pulling out the hem of his shirt. He turned his head back to face you, but it was an awkward movement. Well, I wanted to talk to you one-on-one about all of this. You know, my work, moving. I mean, it was coming before, but now it's pretty much here. Yeah, it's exciting. Cove stopped picking at his shirt. He seemed to respond well to that response. He was relieved you weren't upset about it. I'm glad you think so. But then he looked down, and his brows furrowed. He saw his hand shift away from his clothes to instead rub at his arm. Are you looking forward to it? I am. Well, I'm trying to be. He ducked his head further, and you saw his face start to redden. But it's scary. I don't want things to end. So, you're saying you're gonna dress up as the future for Halloween? It's a little conceptual, sure, but you'll probably... It's a little conceptual, sure, but you could probably make that work. Definitely not. I feel bad as going around as something that terrifying. The mood felt a little better, but though it didn't last. Cove then turned his head away and wrapped his arms around himself. He felt a sudden chill that definitely wasn't caused by the air conditioner. It's happening, you know. What I talked about earlier this summer. The world isn't going to keep us together anymore. It'll be all up to us now. But everything's still going to be okay, right? We're still going to be okay. You kept calm. You understood his concern. It was definitely hard to imagine what was to happen. However, you didn't let yourself get upset. One of you two needs to be the pillar of support. The other one needs to be the weeping mess. And that is exactly how to picture our dynamic right now. You understood his concern. It was definitely hard to imagine what would happen. However, you didn't let yourself get upset. I don't know. But it's gonna be alright. You didn't know the future, so you didn't have any definite answers. That being said, you still believed you'd make it through somehow. You had to. Cove laughed with a delicate smile on his face. Okay, you win. I wanted to prepare myself for the horrifying unknown, but you're kind of giving me no choice to be optimistic here. His eyes sparkled with mischief. Strong armor. Oh no, I can't believe you're being forced to have hope about life. His lips twitched at your sarcasm. I knew it was fucking sarcasm as well, without realizing it.
Right?
I know! How am I gonna get past this? He gave a small smile and stopped joking around. Thanks for listening to me, Callie. It helped. He felt pleased that his anxiety had eased out after talking it out. I think it's time to rejoin the party. Do you feel like getting back?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot what we were doing here. That'd probably be good. With matching smiles, you both reclaimed your seats at the table. Both of you felt lighter, and it showed.
Mhm.
You seem happy. What was that? Yeah, it looked like you having quite the conversation over there. It's neighbor stuff. Sorry. I used to be your neighbor. You seemed to wave off their questions, and you didn't offer any explanation. They still seemed curious, but thought that Cove didn't. But called that Cove wanted it to stay between the two of you, and let it drop. Things relaxed, and you took a sip of your drink. He idly tapped the table, and that got your attention. I'm so excited to try this place. I haven't been here in a long time. I hope it's as good as I remember. All the restaurants in the area are pretty top notch in my humble opinion. We'll see. That was a challenge issued. Liz carried herself like some sort of professional food critic, and Mum snorted. Tough crowd. Jeez, Liz. Ma giggled and chimed in as well, much to Liz's embarrassment. That's right. Lizzie. Jeez. Oh, jeez, Louise. Hey, be nice to Liz. She doesn't even say that much anymore. Everyone burst out laughing beside Liz, of course. He smirked. No one could ever accuse your family of being no fun. Night soon fell after everyone finished their meals. Before you knew it, he was standing in the parking lot, saying your goodbyes, and packing up in the cars to go home. After the last chores were done, the family spent some more time together. Then you had some extra time and decided to. Oh shit. I've never seen this boat, actually. Oh. Like, I've never actually bothered to get Jeremy's phone number. And I guess I always ended stuff off badly with Shiloh, I guess. So I never got his number or something like that. Oh. What do I want to do? I want to save. I'll save right here. Checking. Pickle and Jeremy. It'd been a while since you got his number from Shiloh, but you never actually attempted to reach out again so far. I thought this might be a good moment to go for it. You had absolutely no idea how this conversation would go. The furious boy you'd known very different to the resigned teenager you'd spoken to this summer. Wait for him to pick up, ready for whatever he sprang on to you this time. Your first call ended unanswered, but you at least expected it that much. Jeremy suddenly ignored the unknown number. You redialed and waited for him to pick up. Another extended dial tone sequence. The sound was finally replaced with a slow yawn. Hello? Been sleeping well?
You're actually doing this.
Hallie, you're actually doing this. Haven't you suffered enough? There was none of the fury which you rained down in the past, only bewilderment. I just wanted to see how you were doing. Sigh. Why is this happening? You knew that what led to this call. You didn't have to explain, and he proved that shortly after with a real sigh. Whatever. Did Shiloh ever explain to his lying self? Yeah, it worked out. Alright then. The conversation came to a halt. You asked him a question. Is everything going okay for you?
Nope.
Nope. Life is a misery. You laugh. You're surprised. Jeremy piped up with a question for you. Are you that bored? Or do you honestly have some kind of interest in me as a person? I don't know what this is gonna mean. +6, I've never done this before, so we're reaching you already together. I'm interested in you. You're an interesting person.
Huh.
Wow. Then you had another yawn coming down the line. You better stop asking me why I talk to you now. You expected the call to end there. You even had your thumb hovering over the button to finish the call, but Jeremy's voice stopped you.
Bye.
I think it's weird that we actually talked to each other yet again. It makes no sense, but it's not worth having a problem with. Bye. With that, he hung up. It had gone better than expected. And there was truth in what he said. Who would have thought you'd reconnect like this? Life was full of surprises. You didn't have a problem with it either. There was still time in the evening left. An evening, so. Oh, cool. So we can check in with Shell anyway. Julia. You thought of Shiloh. Both as a central figure in your early childhood, and as a person you've come to know since then, and brought up his number on your phone. He picked up within a few rings. Hi, Callie! His voice as peppy as ever. You wondered if everyone who got called such an excited greeting. Hey, man!
This is so great.
This is so great to hear from you. I hope you're doing okay. He raised his voice at the end, turning the statement into a question. I missed you. Aww. I really appreciate you keeping in touch like this. You must be so busy now. Oh, before I forget, my mom says hi. She still said she wasn't able to see the Wolf family herself. You should both come back again. It'd be nice to have everyone back where it started. Yeah. You could hear the soft smile in his voice, even if you couldn't see it. He was mostly happy that I got to have a little reunion with you all, and that it went pretty well in the end. He laughed again, firmly closing the lid on that discussion.
Yeah.
Anyway, you, your family, and Cove are always welcome to come visit us here. That'll be fun. With everything that was going on, it was highly unlikely you would be able to accept that invitation. Skylar knew that. He was probably just being nice, as he preferred to do. First a thought. We can meet that group of yours. He grinned, imagining Shiloh with his posse of unfriendables.
Great!
Awesome! Let me know if you're ever in the area. His voice was upbeat, almost as if he had been energized by the idea of your openness to it. Well, I shouldn't take up too much of your time. Thanks for reaching out, though. Just say you've got to go if you're busy. Charlie chuckled briefly. Bye! You hung up, feeling pleased that you could simply talk to Shiloh like this. It was sweet to hear from his mom, too, even if the message was secondhand. And the rest of the night felt like it was going by in a blink of an eye. And somehow the time came to retire to your room to sleep. You pulled up your covers under your chin and settled down for the night, getting warm and cozy, as you sank your head into your pillow. As your head sank into your pillow and you closed your eyes, your mind drifted back to everything that happened that day. You could see it all now behind your eyelids, as though you were experiencing it all over again. Then the image of Cove popped into your head, and you smiled softly to yourself. You wanted to sneak out to his room. If Cove could do it, then you didn't see why you shouldn't be allowed to. You made up your mind. As quietly as you could manage, you put on your shoes and slipped out of your room, closing the door behind you softly. Heading slowly down, you took care not to make the floor creak. The floor creak? The floor creak, especially on the boards by the bathroom. Those definitely squeak. We could have just scaled out of the window. Oh well. The stillness of the night made even the slightest sound seem so much louder to your ears, and you were very aware of your mom sleeping nearby. Upon reaching the bottom, you tiptoed towards the front door. Stepping out into the crisp night air, you shut the door and took a relieving breath. Excitement rising, you dashed across the street to Cove's house. The road was too surreal at this hour, familiar yet strange. It might have been eerie at another time, but with how eager you were, you hardly cared. You attempted to find your way from the normal footpath to the side of the condo, but with the limited light it was making it difficult. You knew for sure which window was Cove's, but lucky for you, it was on the first floor. Unlike Cove, you wouldn't have to do any building scaling. All you needed to do was make it safely over the fence and past the bushes without being caught or injured. Peeking closer, you glanced over at the hedges toward Cove's bedroom, finding towards Cove's bedroom window, finding it cracked open. Perfect. You wouldn't have to knock and worry about him not answering. Hoisting yourself up with ease, you cleared the fence, avoided the shrubs, then dived over to the window. You buzzed with a nervous excitement as you approached it in the dark, having successfully made it here unseen. Lifting the window up so it was fully open, you pushed yourself halfway through, your legs dangling into the underbrush below. It was a little awkward, as a small shelf was right in the way. You had to take care not to knock over a couple of plants, but you made it through with minimal noise. Once safely inside, you dusted yourself off and turned back to close the window gently, with only the soft glow of moonlight and Cove's fish tank there to see the way. You gave a smile and waved to the special fish you named Sunbeam. Then, straining your eyes through the dark, grabbed over to Cove's bed, barely making out the sleeping figure beneath the covers. By the sounds of his soft breathing, you could tell he hadn't heard you come in, and his small smile tugged at your lips. You left him to sleep and sat beside him. He looked so peaceful as he slept, you decided you didn't have the heart to wake him up. Instead, you took a seat on the edge of his bed and watched him affectionately, touching your breasts to his own deep breathing, and smiled down at him. You weren't sure what you were going to do now, that you were there, but you were happy to be in the Cove all the same, even if he was fast asleep. Your gaze drifted around the darkened room. Even though in the daylight hours you would recognize it, the darkness made it seem just a little more different and intriguing. Your eyes stopped for a moment on the fish tank against one wall. You watched his precious pets floating around for a moment. Finally, you settled on the window. Maybe you should just head home. You contemplated it, trying to make up your mind, until Cove stirred and rolled over, bumping right into you. Huh? You turned just as his eyes flared open. Still heavy with sleep, he looked right at you.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. He rolled. Sorry. Sorry, you're just hilarious. He pulled his covers back under his chin and rolled over again the other way, settling back in. You snickered quietly to yourself as you sat there. He could figure it out on his own. And, after a few more seconds, he did. Wait, Allie? Yes? Do you need something? He shoved under the covers and sat up to stare at you in alarm.
What?
Why are you in my room? What happened? A smile slipped on your face as you finally recognized your presence for real. I didn't want to be alone. He frowned. His eyes were all pinching together in concern.
Are you okay?
Is everything okay? Put a hand on your shoulder. He locked eyes with you. Yeah, I'm feeling better. He sat back, giving you a fond smile. I should have known you'd do it one of these days. It's only fair. He let out a breath, feeling relieved that he didn't seem bothered by it. In fact, it felt kind of good. He thought that maybe this enthusiasm was why Cove did it so often. He pushed himself up, swinging his legs over the side of the bed, leaving a spot for you beside him. His hand shook where he held them in his lap. He was nervous. You sat beside him happily, waiting for him to speak fast. You can stay as long as you want. Really? Yeah, really. Can I stay the whole night?
Of course.
Of course. Impromptu sleepover. He smiled, feeling relieved that he had agreed. And he grinned back. You could always count on him. I've secretly slept over in your room before. It's only fair you get to do it too. You snickered, feeling pleased with your decision to do this. Okay, but there's no way I'm letting you take the fall this time. Here we go again. You rolled your eyes and let out a small laugh, which Cove returned as you rubbed the back of his neck. We should have just shared the bed. He thought about it for a moment before suddenly throwing his hands in the air. Why not? We might as well make the most of this sleepover. Yes! You're so dumb sometimes.
No way.
Says you. You faked a look of shock at his indignant response, and Cove snickered quietly. Your neighbor looked over you happily. He was honestly content. The night stretched on, and you continued giggling and chatting, tuning out absolutely everything except this room and each other. You felt so light again, like you were 8 instead of 18, and the only big decisions you had to make were what you were going to have for breakfast in the morning. Soon enough, your eyes began to grow heavy, and the conversation slowly came to an end as you both fell into a restful sleep side by side. The next morning, you woke up from a comfortable dream. With a small stretch, you opened your eyes fully to the sunshine. You opened your eyes fully to the sun shining into the window. Shuffling onto your side, you noticed Cove still beside you in bed, sleeping soundly. You smiled, remembering the prior night. It had been fun again to spend the whole night together. You felt so lucky to have Cove as a friend. Then, a loud noise startled you. You snapped towards the source of the sound. It was the door opening abruptly. In the frame stood Mr. Holden, smiling brightly. He hadn't seemed to notice you straight away. Yeah, you're butt out of bed, sport. Mom said, "Oh!" All of a sudden, the two of you made eye contact, and he froze where he stood, the smile slipping from his face. Well, that's not what I usually walk into. I clearly should have known this morning. Good morning, Mr. Holden. Morning, Callie. Cove blinked his eyes tiredly and mumbled something incoherent before turning towards the door. Both you and Mr. Holden stared at him for a few moments, neither knowing what to say or do. Cove, who tried looking as dozily, was obviously having a hard time trying to process the situation. Then his eyes opened wide. Then his eyes widened. Dad? Cove scrambled on his bed in the attempt to get to his feet, pushing the covers off the both of you. Again, there was an overhanging ceiling above him. He shot upwards. I always laugh at that part. It's funny to me. Again, there was an overhanging ceiling above him. He shot upwards and hit his head on the wood. Ow! He fell back. I mean, if he wasn't awake before, he's definitely awake now. He followed back on his pillow, pressing a hand to his head and groaning loudly. He laughed at the scene. You couldn't help the sound from breaking out, though when Cove shot you an unappreciative look, you found your mouth shut. Cove, bud, are you alright over there? Mr. Holden stepped further into the room, his eyebrows furrowed in concern, and he bent down toward his son.
Yes!
Yes! Please, just go! Okay, I'll leave. Cove held his hands in front of him in a calming gesture, even though Cove couldn't see it. Garrus waiting. With that, he stepped back out of the room, giving the two of you one last look before pulling the door shut behind him. Cove rubbed his face before dropping his head into his hands and mumbling between his fingers.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, that was fun. He said nothing. You got the impression he didn't appreciate your comment. With a heavy sigh, Cove forced himself to sit up again. He frowned hard, staring over the closed door. Sorry. I guess we can't hide in here now. He gave you a sidelong glance, despite his displeasure at the situation. A small smile cracked his lips.
It's nice.
It's too bad. It'd been really nice. I wish we could stay in here all day. You found yourself smiling along with him. The two of you took a few minutes to get up properly and get yourself ready as possible before heading out to see Kyra. Kyra was waiting patiently in the living room. She was in high spirits, and with her eyes set on the hallway, her amused smile only widened when you and Cove froze. It didn't take long for the realization to sink in. The scene must have been loud enough for her to hear from even there. Cove tried to look unimpressed, eyes narrowing over Kyra's smug delight. Though, his face was already turning red, and his mom hadn't even said anything yet. He squared his shoulders, lifted his head, and strode forward.
Hey.
Hi, Mom. Hi, baby. And hello to you too, Callie. Her tone crackled in her greeting. Her tone cracked in her greeting, and then she gave in, laughed, unable to keep any of it. Cove frowned at that, his eyebrows furrowed. Sorry for the interruption. I didn't know you already had guests. His frown wobbled, and as he became even more embarrassed by this moment, he couldn't muster up any words to defend himself. Well, it's not like anyone's surprised by this. Kyra laughed even harder this time, as it slowed. She brought her hand to cover her mouth, but you could still see her shoulders shake. Cove still looked mortified, but he shot you a stern look. All you could do was smile. Yes, play the innocent card. Works like 99% of the time. Cove was still unable to say anything. Other than by his teeth biting into the inside of his cheek, he stood there frozen. Kyra studied you for the moment.
It's alright.
It's okay, my not-so-little mister spread his wings. I can't complain about that. He lightly tapped the tip of his nose. That got a tiny smile out of Cove. Despite being much taller than Kyra at this point, he still seemed like a little kid in front of her. You released the air you're holding in your lungs, and then Kyra's gaze locked onto you. You know what? We were just about to go over to see Pam and Noel. Are you two coming? Sure. I should definitely go back there. Cove chuckled at your phrasing. He stretched his arms for a moment and yawned, trying to physically shake off what happened.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good. Great. Really? Then, great, let's do it. It was then you noticed Mr. Holden standing on the other side of the room. You figured he must have been trying to create some space for everyone during that last conversation. You could tell he felt a bit awkward, but he tried smiling reassuringly as he scratched the back of his neck. His attention went to Cove. Bud, do you want to get changed first? Cove looked down at his pajamas for a moment. He shook his head. No, we don't have to wait for that. Are you sure? It's only a trip across the street.
Don't worry
I'm alright.
about it.
Besides, Sky's going in pajamas too. Fair point. Cove leaned in closer to you. He grumbled quietly. And your mom's gonna figure out what happened anyway, so... Yeah.
Come on.
Away we go! Without desire, the four of you headed out across the street to your house. It felt strange waiting there while Mr. Holland knocked on your door.
Hello.
Hi there! Mom answered the door, and her expression brightened even more, seeing Kyra there. He moved to pull Kyra into a hug when her gaze fell on you. Callie? Hi, Mom!
Huh?
What? When did you get out there? Why are you still in your pajamas? Mom raised an eyebrow as she gave you a deep, examining stare. Meanwhile, you and Kyra shared a slow side glance at each other. Before you could answer, more heads popped into view around the doorway. Mal, Liz, and Lee were all chuckling. To be honest, I always assumed Cove had been the one sneaking around. Eyes sparkled with amusement, and he had to look away. You noticed Cove's face was burning red again. It was a solid theory, Lanny. Most likely they've both been breaking and entering. I wouldn't put it past my baby. He takes after his parents.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. I can't believe Mike Hallie's been getting up to all that mischief, too. Mortified, Cove looked like he wanted to disappear. Not while the adults cackled and discussed what you and him may or may not have done. Fortunately, they left the conversation there. Enough of standing around out there. Come on in. Mom moved inside to usher the group inside and guided them to the living room. Before anyone could settle in, Mom spoke up. You're all welcome to stay for breakfast. We still have some great spices and stuff from the farmer's market.
Of course.
Well, yes, we'll be thrilled to host you. There were eager nods from Mr. Holden and Tyra, but Cove looked around the room, filled with familiar faces before speaking up. Maybe, instead of staying here, why don't we go to the beach? A scenic picnic, eh? Mr. Holden crossed his arms and contemplated the idea happily. Excited, Tyra clapped her hands together.
Yeah.
Oh, we could really make a day out of it. Might as well enjoy the ocean while we can. That sounds lovely, Cove. Everyone else put their own agreement to Cove's suggestion. Before long, both families dispersed, getting everything ready. Sandwiches had to be made, water, sunscreen, towels, and more needed to be gathered and packed. Plus, you and Cove took some time to get dressed for the day. You decided to bring the coffee drink Cove got to you. They felt sufficiently special to bust it out. An hour later, both your family and Cove were walking down the old path to the beach. The morning was already turning into a bright and beautiful day. You honestly couldn't ask about weather for the beach trip. The moment you laid eyes on the full view of the ocean, you stopped and stood there memorized. It didn't matter that you grew up there. The sight always filled you with wonder. Yes, look at that beautiful ocean. Hey, Callie.
So?
I was thinking about calling Terry and Miranda. See if they can come too. I think everyone else is pretty much here, so... Would your family mind? Wow! You had a good idea! He chuckled, his mouth pulled into a bent smile. It had to happen sometime, even with the Clifford surprise Holden raising me. That had you laughing this time. You were already eager for your friends to join you there. Hey, Mom! Ma! They both stopped what they were doing and turned towards you. Immediately you darted over to them. I have a question. Would it be alright if Terry and Miranda came by? I don't see why not. Ma looked at Mom to see what she thought, and she nodded in agreement. Mom then shot a glance over at Mr. Holden and Tara, knowing they had likely heard everything.
You alright with that?
Cliff, Tara, what do you think? The more the merrier.
Okay.
Of course, they're welcome with me. Thanks! Delighted you nodded and turned your heels. Cliff was still several feet away, talking to Lee and Liz, likely about the same topic. With a beaming smile, you gave him a thumbs up, and the two of them must have also approved, as Cove quickly got his phone out and started making the calls. With that, you turned your attention to helping the picnic set up. Unexpectedly, your phone started to ring. You dug out just to see the caller ID. Feeling your heart jump up with excitement, you answered the video call request. It was Derek. Hey, this is a surprise. I thought you disappeared. Nope, I have not. And I hope it's at least a good surprise. Look at our boy! Oh my god! I never actually thought I'd see gray on him. A very good one. He chuckled at that, and your smile widened. So, what's up? The voice that came through was much deeper than it had been when you first met, but it still had the exact same amount of enthusiasm over the kid. Have you been enjoying these crazy summer days? I would have enjoyed them more if you'd been there. He sighed deeply into the phone. She frowned, trying to imagine how this summer would go if things had. She frowned, trying to imagine how this summer would have gone if things were different with him. Sorry, but if it helps, I was thinking the same thing about you. Distance sucks. Huh. Yeah. But what about you? How's your summer been? You were beyond curious to what Derek had been up to since the last time you spoke. He chuckled, noticing your invested tone. Honestly, I've been slammed with stuff lately. College applications, scholarship inquiries. What else is new? What else is new? Well, I bet you even more tone now, he flattered. Mainly you had a slight hitch in his breathing. He smirked. You're right about that. I hope you can see it in person sometime. He spoke softly, like he had whispered it. He was whispering it to you. There was no stopping the grin that grew on your face. Though you could only hope no one asked what was so interesting. I hope so too. What about your family? Your brother's good? My little brothers are punks, but I guess they're doing alright. You both laughed at that. Mom and Dad are fine. That's great. My mom's are too. Turning your attention back to your surroundings, you smiled warmly at your family buzzing around. Towels were laid out, chairs and umbrellas were being set up. Actually, I'm out with my moms right now. Liz and Leah here visiting too. Oh, that's fun. But if that's the deal, I'll let you get back to it. Are you sure? I don't mind. Uh-huh. I'm not about to lose your number. Okay, bye. Bye, Callie. Have a heck of a day. Yeah, I definitely imagine that he would never swear. He just seems like that kind of bean. I don't know why. I got that feel from him, you know? Hanging out, the conversation left you energized, and in good spirits. It was exactly what you needed to make the day even better. You hurried over to your mom, then helped put the rest of the food out. In moments, you noticed Cove at your side. So, what's about on those invitations? They're gonna come. Yes! Excited, you raised your free hand for a high five. Cove laughed and slapped your hand.
Yeah.
They'll meet us here later today. Won't be too long. I can't wait. While on the topic of inviting people to join, you realized there was someone else you should call as well. You'd gone back to his number earlier that summer. You messaged him to come down to the beach. Everyone else was gonna be there. You didn't want him to be left out. You sent him a text and hoped you'd show. After that, you made sure to mention what you had done. No one seemed to mind. Once the setup was done, everyone got comfortable and dug into the food. You can't remember the last time breakfast tasted this good, but you attributed it to the gorgeous ocean view and soothing sea breeze. Morning swiftly gave way to afternoon and a very recognizable face walking down to the shore. It was Baxter. He came. Yeah, he wasn't gonna come in the morning. Do you think he's a lunatic? We all know that he's an all-morning person. He's made it very abundantly clear that Monsieur Baxterwood does not do mornings. He presently approached with a wave.
Hello.
Hello there. I'm not gonna keep talking over people. I'm gonna stop this again.
Hello, folks.
Hello there. I appreciate the invite to the party. Of course, you're welcome with us. We brought plenty of towels and food and sunscreen. Yeah, you're one of the neighbors. Come back and relax with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Baxter's gaze moved over to you and Cove. He smiled. Callie, Cove, good to see you. Aye. You waved where you leisurely sat, and Cove nodded. I'm glad you decided to come. So am I. We meet again. Yes, lucky for me. A few giggles escape Covish. Why do I just not name? Really? Because it's 3 in the morning. A few giggles escaped Lee as she watched Baxter. It was then Baxter noticed a face he didn't immediately recognize around the neighborhood. He turned up his charm for even more for the introduction. Excuse me, I'm Baxter Ward. I'm sorry we haven't met before. Well, I'm not typically from around here. I'm just visiting. I'm Cove's mom. Oh, I'll remember that. It's very nice to meet you. After that, Baxter spent more time getting better acquainted with everyone. And Terry and Miranda arrived excitedly. The conversation shifted to what you'd do next.
In that case,
We could do a few rounds of volleyball. There's plenty of us now.
is that all right?
Could I play? Of course. Miranda brightened, delighted with this plan. Mal looked around to see if there were any other takers. I don't feel like playing. I'd have to change, but it'll be fun to watch. I could be the ref. Might as well miss a thing. Volleyball's a good idea, but there should probably be something happening for those who aren't a fan. Oh! I've crafting supplies. We can make jewelry. We could even use stuff we find around the beach to accentuate them.
Really?
What? Really? I want to make a necklace.
That'd be great.
I would be interested in trying my hand at that too. I can do that. Nice.
Absolutely.
Impromptu crafting is my kind of party. I'd like to join you too, please. I'll make some jewelry. Already you're imagining various designs you could make up depending on what Lee let you use. Your cousin showed you a thumbs up, clearly happy with your decision. Kara got up from the towel she was sitting on. She brushed off some sand, and then stretched her legs over her arms. Stretched her legs over her arms? Really? Is that what I can come up with? Kara got up from the towel she was sitting on. She brushed some sand off her legs and stretched her arms over her head.
Can do.
I'm up for a few rounds. Well, since there's still a free spot, I'll throw my hat in the ring. The things I do for family.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. I love that. Liz got up from where she was sitting, and you could tell by her expression that she was determined to win. You laughed to yourself, curious now how the game would turn out. Now that things were settled, the group was temporarily split into two. Okay, let me go back to the house and get my supplies. Anything we can do while you're gone? Yes. You can start clearing the towels for us to work at. And if you want, you can start looking around for good stuff to use.
I'm on it.
Forward to that. While Lee ran back to the house, the group did just as she suggested. By the time she returned, everyone had their craft area ready to work at. Lee sat down on one of the towels and looked up at everyone eagerly. There are 2 necklace options. Have you all been thinking about what you want to make? I have everyone a choice for either chain or a threaded rope. How do I pick? All I know is I want to put some sea glass chunks on it.
Charming.
That's a charming idea. His gaze went back and forth between Lee's 2 necklace-based options. You could tell he was thinking quite hard about it. I can't decide anything for mine. No rush. I'll leave the strands here. You can decorate it however you want later. I suppose I'll use whatever I find around the beach first. They can decide. I think I'll keep it classic. And only worry about finding a decent shell. Yeah, I'm planning on doing shells too. I'll just wait and see. I don't have a plan. Baxter nodded, obviously able to relate to that mindset. Cove crossed his arms and chewed at the inside of his cheek. Well, I'm the only one who noticed. What's wrong, Cove? I'm not sure I want to use. I mean, ideally I want to shark you. But what are the chances to even find one? Mom smiled. You both looked at him sympathetically. Sorry. The red downside of not having a shark hook first. That would make a really nice necklace, though.
I know.
Cove's pouting. Mom gave him a little bump on the shoulder with her fist. Well, don't lose all hope. You never know. You might find. Well, don't lose all hope. You never know. You might end up really lucky. That is her murder face. Mom, stop your murder face, please. Cove laughed. It cheered him up, even though he wasn't really convinced. I'm convinced my mom might be a murderer. After that, the little crafting club busily went to work on their pieces. Whatever they decided to use attached in loops that were then slid over onto their necklace base. Carrie was immensely proud of herself when she was done. Oh my god. I just realized I stopped doing my monotone voice a little while ago since we started. I think it's just the transitional period. Carrie was immediately proud of herself when she was done. Hers was simple but gorgeous because of the striking piece of sea glass she painstakingly searched for and found. Chrysler excitedly showed off his finished piece to everyone. He stayed true to his word and used various materials he found alongside the beach. The necklace looked like it had good weight from the cutter. He always found the electric side style, it seemed. Cove ended up using driftwood of various lengths to design his necklace. Despite not finding any shark teeth, he still looked pretty pleased. Mom decided on a medium purple ringed top shell of the centerpiece of hers. Lee went with a few small thinner shells. They both put their necklaces on soon after finishing them. After combing the beach several times, you just found what you were looking for. It took a little bit, but you managed to make the necklace you were satisfied with. It mostly had driftwood. The group of crafters would also cheer at the volleyball players whenever shouts could be heard coming out of the course. On top of that, you would all hold up each new piece in the air, and the players would take a breather to applaud the creation. He really enjoyed searching the beach train supplies and watching everyone make their necklace. The crafting club was definitely a success, and you weren't the only one that had a blast. The afternoon continued to drift by, but the fun was still going strong. Cove was thrilled when you pulled out the drink you'd been saving. It meant a lot to him that you wanted to savor it. That was worth the teasing smiles your family gave. Occasionally, someone would head back to the house to use the bathroom, rest away from the sun, or retrieve something they needed. But they always came back. The beach was never empty. There was always new conversations to take part in, or another game to join. At one point, Mr. Holden even broke out his pack of cards, drove the whole group into a few rounds of good old Go Fish. There was only one last thing that could bring this speech day to an end. It was the day itself to end. Before anyone realized it, the sun began to set over the sea. As that happened, you were taking a break to sit on your towel, with your legs stretched out past it, your feet buried in the warm sand. You saw and drew things you'd collected on the beach throughout the day. Shortly, you looked up to see your mom approaching. She stopped in front of you and smiled. Then you stopped. Hey there, kiddo. How are you doing? I'm doing great. Today's been amazing. They both sat down, squishing you between them. Ma leaned her head against yours. Mom started rubbing your back soothingly. No more was said at first, but Ma sighed intently. Mom looked at you wistfully. We're both really proud of you, Callie.
True.
You grew up more than we could have ever hoped. It's only thanks to you two. Ma rubbed an arm round your middle and squeezed you tightly into a side hug. Mom continued lightly scratching your back.
Thank you.
That means a lot, but I still think you're selling yourself short. You've always been a lovely person. I'm so thrilled to know you. You've always faltered. You couldn't imagine your life any other way. Ma lightly brushed some of your hair back and left small kisses there. I'm so happy I got both of you as your mom. I'm so happy I got both of you as my moms. After that, all three of you were sitting there, getting all sentimental. I don't know how you got so lucky with you and Les. Ma reached out in front of you, the young mom's hand. He gave it to her, and Ma squeezed it.
Of course.
Callie has a point. We must have done something right. You stayed there quietly and contentedly, watching the sunset with your parents for a while, until Mr. Holden called out to you. He was still walking in your direction. We were talking, and we think we're gonna take a walk down to the shore, if any of you want to come. Automatically, you looked to your moms for what they were thinking. Mom glanced from you to Ma and smiled. That sounds good to me.
That's fantastic.
Yes, that'd be very nice. My legs need some stretching. Lady, you were doing volleyball. They should already stretch to the max. That's a yes across the board. Thrilled, Mr. Holden threw out thumbs and began heading back the way he came in, a light jog. Hey, don't leave us in the dust. Cliff kept going forward but flipped around, walking backwards across the sand so he could face you again.
No worries.
Don't worry, we wouldn't leave without you. Alright, we'll catch up. Ready to go? Uh-huh. Both of your moms held a hand to you. Chuckling, you gave them each one, and all of you strolled back to the rest of the group. When Liz was in reach, Ma used her free hand to pull her in too. Liz shook her head, but her mouth plugged into a smirk, and she didn't resist. Together as a family, you followed the others hand in hand. Your feet squished into the wet sand as the waves rolled over them. You didn't have a single care in the world, as more and more stars began to appear in the sky. Once the sun was long out of sight, it was finally time to pack up. The closing of the day was ever approaching the end of summer. Seemed to intertwine. It caused a reflective mood to blanket over the group. On the beach, Terry and Miranda took turns compressing Cove into a hug, before moving on to do the same with you. You chuckled, still overjoyed that you got to see them today. I'm sorry we have to go already. My parents are here. That's okay. But still, I wish we could help clear this all up. Don't worry about it. Just, thanks for coming out today. It was cool having everyone here.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm super glad we came. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. Nodding, you turned your attention to Terry. She bore a large grin on her face and held out the hand for a low five. You obliged. Take care of yourself, buddies. After that, they walked away, leaving you and Cove. As they went down the shore, Cove waved back quietly with a small smile on his face. Have a safe trip back. Be well. Bye. Taking you by surprise, Terry jumped and twisted around. He kept that up with Miranda walking backwards. He got the mood of your farewell light by shooting finger guns at you and Cove. Miranda bumped her with her hip. It left everyone with a laugh. Just before they disappeared down the bend. Callie?
Come on.
Hey, Cove, could you come here? Both of your parents were motioning for you. The two of you went to them. Tons of things ended up at the beach over the course of the day. But there was still so much to pack up, and the parents needed help. With a nod, you got to it, stuffing various things into bags, bundling them up in towels. Once things were ready to go, everyone filled their arms with as much as they could carry. Absolutely no one wanted this to be back and forth kind of a task. The walk back home ended up being mostly quiet. Each person seemed to be feeling the effects of the day. A cool breeze carried you across the sand and onto the road. There was a sigh of relief from what felt like the group as a whole when they arrived back to the neighborhood. Baxter carefully placed what he had been carrying on the floor. Thank you so much for helping with that.
Thanks.
No. Thank you for allowing me to join today. You're shared with me. Helping to carry it back is the least I could do. Man nodded, and the others started collecting their things in his pile. Baxter, meanwhile, stepped over to you and Cove. It was a pleasure. His head tilted towards you, and he smiled warmly. Will I see you again? Tomorrow's my last day. Yeah, I'll definitely visit you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Callie. And I don't expect you to do the same, Cove. Oh, alright, I won't. Baxter continued to shake Cove's hand at this time. Baxter turned to shake Cove's hand this time. He was a little incredulous for a moment, but then Cove eventually shifted what he was carrying and took Baxter's hand. It wasn't long, but a solid handshake. Baxter was clearly pleased. I wish we had more time together, but it was still a nice ride while it lasted. Would happily do it all over again. Bye. See you soon, Baxter. Baxter nodded and walked a few steps towards his condor. He then stopped and waved.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Baxter sauntered away completely and disappeared inside the condor to return to his own things. His time with you and your family and friends ending. He paused for a moment, staring at where he went. But afterwards you looked back over at the rest of the group. Lee and Liz were just going inside your house. You couldn't spot Kara or Mr. Holland anywhere, but the door to their house was wide open. Mom approached you with an amused look on her face. Seems like you're holding up some holding things. Surprised, you glanced down to take a quick inventory of what you were holding. Mom was right. Some of it belonged to the neighbors. Would you mind dropping that off now? Looking down at everything you were carrying, you sighed. A teasing grin played at your lips. The Holdens is a long walk from here. Cove snorted and laughed next to you, making your grin widen. Mom chuckled and shook her head. You can hack at it. Then you get to experience the joy of a job well done. Stop giving your mother luck. You laughed happily and nodded. Mom smiled fondly. Cove took a few steps towards his house and stopped waiting for you.
Good night.
Good night, Cove. I'll see you inside, Callie. Night. You called up to Cove, and together you went inside. You called up to Cove, and together you went over to his house. Walking in the front door, you saw Kara and Mr. Holden busily unpacking already. Things were scattered on counters, and they were moving around each other, putting the items away. They lifted their heads when Cove closed the front door. Hey! It's nice seeing you again, Callie. Her teasing tone brought a light to your face. You got the stuff in your arms a little closer. I ended up with some of yours from the beach.
Oh.
Oh. Thanks for getting that to us. You can put it here on the coffee table. Mr. Holden pointed at the surface he was referring to. You immediately left what didn't belong to your family there. Cove put his own things down on the floor, just at his feet, wading through everything strewn about to reach his parents. Putting your family's stuff on the ground for a moment, you dusted your hands off and straightened up. You needed a second of rest and a moment to resituate it all. You went over to where the others were too. Kara opened her arms wide, wanting to hug you. You accepted it. Never, ever not accept a hug from someone that you know. Without any hesitation, you went to Kara and let her pull you into a hug. You squeezed her back just as tight. The hug was filled with affection, and you hoped that she could feel how much you cared for her too. Thank you for hanging out with me today. It was a blast. You're welcome. Today was amazing. Kara eventually released you, but patted the tops of your shoulders as a final gesture.
Thank you.
Every time I've gone to come by, it's been an absolute joy. Things really kind of worked out better. Mr. Holland took a step closer to you. Kara moved aside to let him say goodbye. He grinned. Thanks for being such a friendly neighbor. And not just right now, but for as long as I've known you. I didn't always make it super easy, but you and your family are good people. I really, truly appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Thanks again, Callie. So much. At that, Mr. Holden reached over and gave you a soft pat on the top of your head. You hugged him. You burst forward into Mr. Holden and wrapped your arms around him. Surprised, he went rigid immediately. But, several moments later, he relaxed and began to lightly pat your back before shifting into a full hug. You squeezed him tighter. Thanks for moving in. As you let go, he sniffled, but when you met his gaze once more, his mouth was pulled into a wide, happy grin. Mr. Holden was staring at you, but his gaze seemed far away. Maybe he was looking back at who he used to be. The 8-year-old he had asked to be his son's new friend.
See you.
Bye, Callie. He smiled softly. Then, Cove took a step forward. He gestured to the pile of things he had carried into the house.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about all that. I'll put it away in a few minutes. Right, I need to go do the same with my family. I figured. Cove walked you to the door and held it open. Taking one last check around, making sure you had all your things to bring home, went into the road. He leaned his body against the doorframe, not following you out. So, this is it, huh? Actually, that's not what I mean. His expression twisted, and he shook his head a bit, like he was trying to banish the pensive thoughts.
Bye.
I'll just say bye. Yeah. Bye. It won't be long before you see me again. You offered him a small wave goodbye with one of your hands. Cove reached forward and patted your arm reassuringly. Then he kept his hand there, lightly holding your arm. He nodded. One of his hands grabbed onto the door handle and held it firmly. He was stopping himself from coming along with you. As you walked over to your front door, you stopped. Turning around, you spotted Cove right where you left him. You laughed quietly to yourself. For a small pause, stared at each other from across the street. You ran back to hugging goodbye. You put the remaining stuff from the beach down the step, almost tripped bolting across the road. The next thing you knew, you diving into Cove's arms, wrapping your arms around his neck. The force of it all knocked you both loudly in the doorway. But neither of you cared. The both of you held each other tightly, and you buried your face into the crook of his neck.
Night.
Night, Callie. You smelled like seawater and sunscreen, and like home. It was a while until either of you thought to separate. Slowly, you made the trek home, and collected what you left and stepped into your arms again. Things couldn't be dragged out any longer. After one more scared smile, you opened the door and went inside, shut it behind you. A few steps in, you saw your family gathered in the living room. They were still busy unpacking and cleaning. You had the things you brought to the pile on the kitchen counter. Mom stood up, rubbed her eyes a bit, yawned loudly. I'm bushed! How about we finish the rest of the shows tomorrow? Yes. Honestly, it's too late for this.
Thanks.
Please and thank you. Ma put her hands on her hips and turned to assess the room. Ma was not one who liked to leave a mess about, but she sighed.
All right.
I suppose we can make an exception to the usual rule. It has been a really long day. Liz grinned contentedly. Lee wasted no time in giving over to you and put you in a side hug. Good night. You hugged her back. You pulled her close into a bear hug. Lee giggled until you released her. I hope you sleep well too. Oh, I totally will. The moment my head hits the pillow, I'll be out. Here's to us, Callie. Tonight, tomorrow, and forever. Yeah, family forever. Lee leaned in and whispered to your ear. You didn't fail to catch the teasing look on her face.
Aww.
Exactly, there's no escape. That got the laugh out of you. You lightly pushed her shoulder. Lee stretched her arms high over her head. She yawned loudly and looked at you with tired eyes. I think that's my cue to leave. I think that's my cue to head to bed. Bye! I think so too. I'll punch her in the room with Liz. I wonder if I followed over the bed. He laughed at that, and Lee shuffled off towards the guest room. Before you had a chance to do anything else, feel the top of your head being tapped. You spun around to see Liz smirking. Nighty night. I'm heading off to bed too. It's been a long day, and I have a lot to prepare for tomorrow. Exhaling, you automatically started fixing the back of your hair. When Liz didn't immediately walk away, you smiled softly at her. Everything okay? Her gaze moved away, and you knew she had more to say. He waited patiently for Liz to compose her thoughts. It's been a good summer. It was nice to come back home. He nodded, and Liz gave you a teasing nudge as she went by. Amused, you turned and watched her go. Love you, little kiddo. Bye, old sister. Liz turned back to smirk at you, chuckling. You gave her a small wave. Sleep well. You too. When Liz was out of sight, Mom started up the next conversation over her shoulder. And you had to go up to bed too. I want to finish getting everything cleaned up.
What?
What? Are you sure? It can wait. Glancing around the room a moment, the disarray made you feel a bit twitchy. You had a feeling that you'd sleep sounder if you took your time cleaning before bed. Yeah. Ma came over too, smiling understandingly. She pulled you into a big hug.
Love you.
Alright, you do what you need to. I love you. When you were done hugging Ma, Mom pulled you into another hug, their actions basically handing you off to the other, had you laughing jubilantly.
I love you.
I love you so much. You're the best parents. Oh. Ma's eyes sparkled from your compliment. Mom pulled you into another hug. Good night, kiddo. Sleep tight. Good night, sweetie. Night. After that, your mom's headed off towards their bedroom down the hall. You're about to turn the other direction when you heard Mom's voice. And don't let the bed bugs bite! Seriously, Mom, what's with the murder face? You heard Ma chuckling as you watched them go with a smile. It was a while later when you finished putting everything away. You didn't rush the process at all. Your sleeping hours may have been cut into, but you felt so much better getting this done. You sat contentedly, gazing at the organized living room and kitchen, before you could take a well-earned break on the couch. Something outside the window caught your eye. You felt your feet brought you in front of the large window spanning along the back wall. You stared out into the hills behind your house. As if on cue, your phone came on, alerting you of a new notification. It was Cove. Want to hang out on the hill tonight? Something inside you told you that this was the right kind of night to take a trip out there. You sent him back a very quick message. Yeah. You went over to the front door and stepping over the threshold, you gave the living room one glance over your shoulder. Then you shut the door behind you. Suddenly you made your way to the poppy hill. With light steps in the dark, you walked across the hills behind your house. Up ahead, at the very top, silhouetted beneath the night sky, was a familiar figure already waiting there. Smiling, you wondered just how he always got there first. You didn't have the advantage of living closer. Then again, and maybe it was only on your mind, but somehow Cove was intrinsically linked with this place. After all these years, it'd be weird to scan the horizon and not find him there. As surreal as the shore without the sea. The distance between you was growing shorter by the second. Hearing the grass and earth crunch under your feet, Cove turned. A grin spread over his face when he saw you. You took your place standing behind him on the crest of the poppy hill, looking out over the ocean. Same as you had done countless times when you first arrived, when you found him on this very same spot. Callie! He had officially broken the silence, the spell that held you both in place. You looked at him expectantly. There's always something I've kind of wondered about. He cocked his head, giving you a sidelong glance. What did you think about when we met? I was just a kid that you'd never seen before, rolling his eyes out, on the hill next to your house. He chuckled, his eyes drifting towards the sea beyond. before flicking back to you. The way his gaze pulled you back, the way his gaze pulled back to you made it clear that he was genuinely invested in the topic. Luckily for him, you remembered what initially struck you in that moment. It was as if it had only happened yesterday. Well, I remember noticing the neon pink cast you had to wear that summer. Cove burst into genuine laughter at your reply. I guess that's fair. It did kind of stand out. Dying a bit, you continue to reminisce about that first meeting. I also remember feeling bad about what was happening. I remember that too. He ran a hand through his hair, and you knew his line of questioning wasn't at an end, even before he spoke again.
I mean,
Do you remember what you thought about me? You know, as a person. Was I annoying, or mean, or... I liked you immediately. Cove's eyes widened, openly amazed by your response.
really?
Really? I don't know what I did to deserve that. It's nice of you. Cove's hand drifted to the scar on his arm, his fingers unconsciously gliding over that mark. It was much less noticeable than it had been when the neon pink cast first came off. It shrunken gradually over the years as his body healed, then dwarfed in comparison to his growing body. Still, his fingers came back to it without thinking. He gave a half smile, not meeting your eyes. I feel bad now. The thoughts I had were... well, considering what you were thinking, I come across a lot worse of a kid. You didn't like me?
No.
No. It definitely wasn't that. Cove lifted his head up, finally committing to meet your eyes fully once more. I remember you that day. I remember it really well. I don't think I would ever be able to forget. I can picture the way you looked back then, when I first saw you standing right here. I still know the expression on your face when you chose to sit with me in the grass. He chuckled, self-derisingly, interrupting his own monologue. You scared me at first. I figured I'd be alone out there until I had to face my dad again. And then, suddenly, another kid appeared out of nowhere. It was startling, but I got over that fast. You're a strange person, in a strange place, but in that moment, you were exactly what I needed. Somebody I could talk to freely about what was happening, and how it made me feel. And you listened to me. You stayed with me. He sighed, then bit his lip as he gave his small smile. I was a little bit spoiled growing up. A little. Your teasing rolled easily over Cove, who laughed in a reply. He looked off again, seeking clarity for his thoughts in the expanse of the night sky. What I'm trying to say is, when I was younger, I viewed myself basically as the center of the universe. I didn't even imagine it wasn't like that.
I mean...
Things didn't simply happen. That would be weird, according to my little kid brain. It made far more sense that everything in my life had a specific connection to me, somehow, right? He saw affirmation in you, wavy brows raised as he tried to explain his childlike logic. So, at the time, you felt almost unreal. Like you weren't just anyone. Some other kid who happened to live in that neighborhood, with your whole life that wasn't connected to Cove Holden. No. To me. You were there, so that you could find me when I was lost. I kind of expected it to all vanish like a dream when that night was over. I would wake up and everything would be the same again.
That's...
I'll be back in my better home, my real home, with both my parents. The future was something I couldn't picture anymore. I didn't know what school would be like when I went back, or the table where I would eat breakfast the next morning, or anything. And if I couldn't imagine it, how could I think it was something actually happening? I couldn't grasp my new reality. It was too big for me to hold it all at once. So I never thought I'd see you again. Then Cove beamed at you, his eyes shining bright. I never thought the two, and I never ever would have been able to guess that 10 years later, when I was grown up, the two of us would still be together. No way. Has it really been that long? You mimicked counting on your hands, brow furrowed in mock concentration as Cove laughed. But the smile faded from his face as his eyebrows drew together. That was the worst day of my life at the time. The day my family broke apart. It was too heavy for me to even think about. I felt that way for I don't know how long. He held a hand over his heart, connecting with the pain he felt as a child, and looked at you earnestly.
It's okay.
But now, everything is better. With me and my dad and my mom, and between the two of us. So, when I remember that time, it's not the point that my life was over. It's just the day I met you. You're just wonderful. Only for you, really. Cove sighed contentedly. His voice was as delicate as the petals on the poppies which crowned this hill. Hey, Callie. I'm so grateful you were there, even when I wanted to run away. You didn't even know what to say back. You didn't even know what to say back to that. His heartfelt appreciation left you speechless. He tilted his head up, thoughts lost in the sparse cloud above. I wonder how late it is. I guess it doesn't really matter. My dad's fine with me being out whenever. You could still text your dad about what you're doing. I'm gonna message my mom's. He might appreciate it.
I guess.
Probably. You were pleased to see Cove slip his phone out of his pocket and type away at it. You also brought out your phone long enough to shoot off a text. They wouldn't see it anytime soon, but they would be in the loop once they were up. Are you going to lay in the grass now? Wow! How did you know? You're predictable. With a chuckle, Cove plopped down into the grass and laid back. With a chuckle, Cove plopped down onto the ground and laid on his back, his usual way of spending time there. You also laid on your back. You took your own spot next to him in the grass, brushing the blades of grass aside a bit with your head. The both of you fully settled into relaxing on the hill. It felt like just the beginning of one of your nightly outings, but then you realized the sun was peeking out over the horizon. Cove spoke up with disbelieving tone.
Huh.
It really was late. Your neighbor wasn't a stranger to being awake at dawn, however, not like this. He was normally an early sleeper, early riser. This unexpected sunrise particularly awed him. The two of you watched on silently as the sun began to light the world. Then Cove propped himself onto the back of his arms and looked at you with a soft expression on his face. Do you want to go back home? I could carry you if you're tired. No, I want to stay here. You couldn't resist a yawn. You're serious. It can be time to go already. Cove chuckled affectionately.
I get it.
Okay, but it's been a long day. We've done a lot of things. Like, a really lot. It has to end sometime. Since when were you okay with ending? Since when were you okay with things ending? That made him laugh again. It was a fair question. Since you made me feel better about it. And we can still stay if you want to. Cove smiled brightly at you, as warm as the new rays of sun that were tickling your skin. In that moment, you couldn't have appreciated him being there more. You leaned into Cove. You bent yourself against Cove for extra support. He tilted his head against yours. You're my favorite neighbor. You're mine too. Kind of why I did the monotone voice again. The two of you remained together on that familiar poppy hill, where you first met until the world began to fade into a blur. You're falling asleep. Look how nice this field looks. And the sea crashing. Maybe. It's just foamy. But it looks so pretty. A few more gentle words drifted into your consciousness.
See you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow. Your eyelids dipped, but you felt good. You were safe and relaxed. Everything that had come before this had reassured you of that. You were confident that when you opened them again, things would be okay. You opened your eyes. Instead of the walls of your room, you were surrounded by open sky. It was not soft pillows and sheets underneath you, but a bed of earth and grass that you had taken last night. The day welcomed you with a shining sun, refreshing breeze, and the chirping song of birds. You covered your face with your hands as you sat up, feeling the imprint of the blades of grass leaving lines to your cheeks. Callie? Hearing your name, you lowered your hands and looked around. There he was, the most influential neighbor, Cove Holden. Look at that beautiful boy. He had made himself very comfortable, laying on his stomach, with jewelry and shoes taken off, a flower in his hand. Good morning. It's not really the morning anymore. Cove laughed, tickled with the overall situation, and simply being able to spend time like this. Told you I'll see you tomorrow. Pretty safe bet. We see each other nearly every day. So? Smiling, you shook your head, and Cove... Smiling, you shook your head, left Cove to his victory. Cove turned his head up to the sky, his expression intent. Looks like it's gonna be a nice day. We'll have to come up with something to do with most of it. He trailed off, blinking slowly in the sunlight. Someday, when we're even older than we are now, I wonder what we'll end up remembering this moment for. What will we feel when we look back at it? Will it be the same as what we're feeling now?
It's nice.
I can't see what the future is going to look like again, but I think that's alright. You're way too sentimental. Cove smiled crookedly, eyeing you over his shoulder. You already knew that. Yeah, I did. But it never ceases to amaze me just how sentimental you are. You laughed, taking your teasing in stride. Well, you should get used to it. That's one thing that's not going to be changing. You eyed the hill sprawling out before you, and down below, where the wild hill and nature gave way to civilization. Your home and coves laid down at the bottom, neatly filed among the other houses in the neighborhood. Hey, Callie. I bet I can beat you in getting back to the road. You laughed, amused by the wager that reminded you of so many moments in your youth. As much as I like it here, it's okay if we leave now. We can always come back to see the poppies and the fireflies again, right? Cove met your eyes, waiting for what you were going to say in response. Yeah, we better do that. You're not getting out of it. Your comment quacked a wry smile from Cove. His voice was loaded with mirth. You're really irreplaceable, huh? He beamed at you. His expression was so unlike the one he had worn when you first found him here, full in sadness and uncertainty. You look so comfy and casual right now. I love it. Yet you can't help but glance at the boy once underneath his bright expression and matured features.
Come on.
Come on! He offered you a hand. You accepted it, your palm drifting around his. Cove lifted himself up, pulling you along too. Our parents aren't gonna come running for us this time. We're gonna make our own call. And I say we can't hide away forever. Poppy Hill is just one part of things. There's more out there for us than this time in this place alone. Let's go and enjoy it. You can say whether you were the one that broke into a run, if Cove had been the one to start it, or if your feet had simultaneously made the choice for you both. The end result was the same, with the two of you dashing down the hill like children, but with the nostalgic revelry that could only come as an adult. As the wind whipped past you, you knew that family and friends were waiting at the end of your sprint. There are more memories to make, after all. Life takes another step forward. The clutter of the suitcase in the tower brought you back into reality. You had been zoned out in thought for some amount of time. How long was impossible to guess. But you're in Baxter's room. It was almost exactly 24 hours since the last time you'd been together. During the big goodbye get-together the previous day. The scene in front of you was then familiar in a way. You were standing in the corner watching every pack. But there was not the franticness or excitement fast approaching. And there was not the franticness or excitement the fast approaching trip to the mountains. In this way, in this moment, every motion Baxter made was slow and laborious. It was the end of his time in Sunset Bird. Then, the job was done. It would be finished. When you first arrived at his place, Baxter and you reminisced over a summer well spent, one over all too soon. The task of putting his things into bags was drawn out enough for all possible conversations to have been split, and a quiet to creep in. That's how you've gone stuck in your own head, a private reflection on the person in front of you. Baxter Ward had been the harbinger of change in the tiny town, an inescapable sign that life you'd known for nearly your childhood was also coming to an end. But he had become your normal over the summer, and now he was going to change it all again by going away. A part of you wanted to jump out of reality again. In your mind, Baxter was ever present, but in this room, Baxter had just finished the last task before he left for good. You stared at the neatly gathered bags around Baxter's fancy black shoes. When did that happen? Your gaze drifted to his face, unsure. Baxter was watching you too, and smiling sweetly.
Thank you.
Thank you for visiting me one more time, Callie. I'm fully settled now. And it is getting late. I believe the time has come for you to return home. More accurately, but harder for Baxter to admit, it was time for him to return home. But he simply tapped a suitcase with his foot and kicked the real farewell down the road. Would you mind if I saw you out? You moved to join Baxter at the front of the room. Obviously, I wouldn't mind. Come on.
Very well.
Very good. The bags were left as they were for the time being, as Baxter escorted you to the front door and onto the street. You both stood there in the very place where you first reunited. Baxter put on his most agreeable smile to work. It was there, though, pulled in what should have been a day off.
It's...
I suppose this is the most fitting place to say goodbye. It is. Unlikely we'll see one another again before I'm gone. That was it. No getting around things. This was goodbye. Hesitantly, he held up his arms for a farewell embrace. You kissed him instead. You pressed into him with your body and lips. He leaned into it immediately. His arms crossed over each other behind you, and both of his hands came to rest on your shoulders. Baxter tied himself to you with a bow. You enjoyed every second of it. But then you finally entangled yourself. You put enough distance between you so you could see each other's faces. Baxter spoke again, with a new tenderness to his tone. It was so wonderful meeting you. This has been the best summer, best any particular season I have had in years. I'll never forget a minute of it.
Goodbye.
And I sincerely hope you will find someone who will keep you happy. And I sincerely hope you will find someone who will make you happy and fulfilled. You're suited only for the best. Goodbye, Callie. Thanks. I hope you find happiness too. We don't have to date long distance. I just want to keep in touch. The way Baxter flinched at those words was disconcerting. You didn't understand what was happening anymore. We'll talk to each other after this, right? I'm leaving. That was the explanation. 2 words. He stated the obvious almost pulsatingly. A gentle reminder that somehow would make everything clear. Since you didn't convincingly look like you had reached a complete understanding of the universe. He continued, disappointed. Ellie, I'll be on the other side of the country. I won't be here to give you rides or make cupcakes together or take you out for drinks. We can't sightsee or go on trips. It should go without saying. So, we can still talk, and that's what matters. We can text and have calls and a bunch of things. Baxter folded his arms then. Caution was quickly giving way to exasperation. I see, you don't understand me. Unfortunately, I am having trouble following myself. Why would we? We've known each other's existence for approximately 3 months, and your only familiarity with me is what I've chosen to share, which is not much.
I swear.
You aren't a bad person if you don't go immensely out of your way to continue keeping tabs on a near stranger. It's fine to let me be. It's not keeping tabs. It's a normal way to interact with somebody you know. Brenda has an older brother, Jude. He's making a long-distance situation work. The 2 of them haven't lived near each other for multiple months, ever, even though they've known each other for years. Oh. It's truly delightful to hear that, and I wish the best for Miranda's brother and his partner. Of course, my rather reasonable prediction is that it will not last. Most relationships don't. As for me in terms of us, unfortunately, I've run. Unfortunately, I've quite run out of anything to say. He shut you down entirely, not giving a single centimeter towards a compromise. It left you stunned. What happened? Baxter could be so hard on himself but never others. Since when he had been someone so cynical. It made you numb. The only part of you that wasn't frozen solid was the heart pounding painfully in your chest. Baxter raked his fingers through his hair. The tiny white and black stripes were all messed up. I would have preferred it to be an enjoyable time, having my company while I happened to be here. That was the intention. It seems I ruined that on the whole. I accept the blame for that. If I had behaved better, this wouldn't have come to a close on such abhorrent note. However, I am not an irreplaceable part of your life. I was a tourist, a novelty, and now I'm not even that. So don't bother with this. Every word was poisoning mockingly. Every word was poisoningly mocking. No effort could be spared to be polite. You heard his opinion on himself laid bare. It was terrible. Our Baxter Ward. He turned his back to you, began the process of separation promptly. Baxter only spoke over his shoulder. I am genuinely sorry, Callie. If I could take back these days, I would.
I will never cause this kind of trouble for you again.
At the very least, I can promise I will never cause this kind of trouble for you again. He was serious. This was the end of the line for his association with you. He looked into Baxter's obscured face for the last time, and you were smiling as tears gathered in the corners of your eyes. Have a nice life, Baxter. Baxter didn't say anything else. He didn't react. He only stepped forward and closed the door into his rented condo. He was gone. And you turned to your actual friends. They were always there for you, no matter what. There was something a person like him might never understand. That was something a person like him might never understand. But a man of his word, you didn't see Baxter Ward again. And that was our transitional period. I saw that coming. I've played it so many times, and yet it's still so painful. To the point where I'm actually crying silently to myself. Because it just hurts so much. Our boy has left us. But not for long. Like I said, we will be doing Baxter's DLC last. If you wish to end this series off here, you are more than welcome to. However, you'll be unsatisfied since there's still a story left to go. We will be doing all 3 epilogues. We will have a save file right here, so we can go back, and I will be making separate saves. The different epilogues. I will be doing that behind the scenes. But I will still have a save at least here, because obviously I've got to go back and forth. But if I want to, like, maybe replay, I have this slot that I can just take up and reuse, I guess. I don't know. But holy shit. I think I'm gonna need a moment to cry now. Well, that's the end of the line for step 3 in our transitional period. I'm gonna attempt to have the epilogues themselves be one entire series, but I cannot promise that. I mean, not series, one entire video. But I cannot promise that it'll be one video. It may end up being its own mini-series, like with the separate, Our Life things. The separate Our Life DLC stories moments between Derek and Baxter. And I will let you guys choose which one you want to be canon to this. Since I did put crush to both Derek and Baxter. And I will be doing the same now with the Cove. I've always liked Cove, okay? But because I wanted to see what would happen between Derek and Baxter, I couldn't have a proper relationship with Cove because that would hinder that. And I knew that from my playthroughs on my other thing. On my computer. I'm using my dad's laptop though. But yeah, I will hopefully be seeing you guys in the next one, but this is what we have for now. Goodbye for today.